All right, so it is 12:02 Eastern, so I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. Thanks everybody for jumping on the call today for Power Lunch episode 15. What we're going to walk through today is some hacks and some tips for navigating web browsers like a pro, both web browsers and paperless parts. A little bit about myself. My name is Alex Renner, and I'm an implementation project manager here at Paperless Parts. For those of you that I haven't met on the line, what that means is essentially I lead shops through the onboarding of paperless parts after the sales cycle. So I lead them through that project of successfully standing up paperless parts for your shop or your organization. Quick agenda. What are we going to run through today? So really, we're going to focus on some general browser navigation tips. So these are going to be things that you can take with you both in work, personal life, in paperless, outside of paperless, to basically streamline utilizing your web browsers. And then I've got some paperless navigation specific tips. And this is some new functionality. I want to show off some underutilized buttons in the platforms, and then some saved filter ideas that can help get folks to the right place at the right time in the platform. And my goal for this session is that everybody in the audience walks away with at least one tangible tip that can enhance your quoting experience or your navigation in paperless parts. And before I dive in there, I want to just share two stories kind of about what the themes are, and then why I think this stuff is important. So first thing is on themes. And I had a friend of mine who was a brilliant engineer, and every time I would sit with him and work together, I would notice that he was literally like never using his mouse. He was almost always just humming away on his keyboard, opening windows, closing windows. So really the theme of today is going to be, how can we reduce scrolling and reduce clicks and take some of that work back to the actual keyboard itself? And then the other quick story I'll share is I had a mentor who really instilled in me what my lean philosophy is, and that is respect for people first, and then belief in a better way. And I think the fact that everybody signed up and jumped on this webinar shows that you're looking to find a better way. And I just want to point out that some of these are going to seem really simple. Some of these might seem a little bit complex, but everything that I'm going to show you over the next 20 minutes or so is something that I have either taught a paperless parts customer, or I have learned from a paperless parts customer, or I have learned from a fellow colleague. So really just back to that goal. Let's walk away with one thing that's going to help us improve your quoting experience. So without further ado, and this is being recorded, and we will share the recording and the slide deck after this call, because I put together a quick cheat sheet with some of the things that I'll be showing off today. So I jumped over to paperless parts, and the first thing I noticed is I can't see anything at all. So how do I quickly zoom in so I can see what's going on here? Really quick, I'm going to hit Control or Command on Mac. I'm going to speak in Windows, so I'm going to say Control for the rest of this. But essentially, all I'm going to do is hit Control and then the =+ button. And you're going to see me start to zoom in. And whoa, I overshot this thing. Now I'm at 500x. How do I get out of this view? Same exact thing. I'm going to hit Control- to bring myself back to where I like to be, which is right around 90%. So quick zoom in, zoom out, Control+, Control-. Another quick cheat sheet that I use is actually an app called Cheat Sheet, where if I hit the Control button and I hold it, that actually brings up all of these shortcuts that I can use on my computer. So if I ever want to know if there's a quick way to do something, I literally just hold Control. That'll bring up this cheat sheet, and I can find various commands to help streamline navigation. For Mac users, this is Cheat Sheet. And then for Windows users, there's an app, I believe it's called Cheat Keys, that will do really similar stuff. So now that I'm zoomed in, I'm going to jump over to my dashboard. And one thing that I constantly see with shops when I'm working with them is they'll come into calls and they'll basically say, "Oh, Alex, I was working on this quote. I'm not quite sure what it was." And I'll instantly see them jump over to their quotes tab and start scrolling up and down in the drafts, trying to find a key thing here to key them in to what it was they were working on that they had a question on. Just have to do a quick plug for always use the search anything bar. So all I'm going to do is type in here Power Lunch, because I have a few quotes staged. And boom, without having to click a couple times, I've got my 3 quotes that I staged for me right here. And to open these up, I want to look at quote 2104. So rather than navigate away from this page, the second thing I want to show you here for a quick browser hack is I'm going to hit Control and click on that button. And that is actually going to bring up quote 2104, but leave this tab alone. Really helpful if you want to retain where you are on one page and then open up a second page and still have the ability to stay here. So I can actually do the same thing. I'm going to open up 2105. I'm going to open up 2106, and boom, without losing this page, I've still got my dashboard. Now I've got my 3 extra tabs opened over here. So we're going to start working on quote 2104. First thing I'm going to do is click into the line item. I always navigate and suggest folks navigate from the left-hand side, just because I think that's I think our users are really used to navigation bars on the left-hand side from their various CAM packages that they're working with in other aspects of their roles. So I always recommend opening up line items, closing line items on the left-hand side. And next thing, so I want to point out, I need to get down to the costing area. And I could use my mouse and start to scroll down and get myself to where I needed to go. So I can always scroll, but a really underutilized button is this jump to or scroll to button. So say I had to get down to lead times. Rather than go all the way down to get down to lead times, all I'm going to do is click this button, jump to lead times, boom. I'm right where I need to be. Maybe this should be 15 days, and I can write in my override. And now I can jump back up to the overview. Boom, no scrolling. I'm right where I need to be without overshooting, undershooting, or anything like that. So next thing I'm going to do is come down here and review my labor operations. So another thing that I think is really helpful, it's a simple one, but I'm going to do a Control F on this page. And what that's going to bring up is the browser native search function. So I'm going to actually type in inspection here. And that is going to bring up each instance of the word inspection. So literally, I right now know, all right, I have inspection on this page 4 times. If I scroll through them, boom, I've got 4 instances of it. Really helpful, especially if you're reading documents. Don't start at the top of a document and read all the way down through it. I always fire up a document, Control F, and just type in my keyword, and that will move us directly down to that operation. So maybe I actually don't need this inspection after debur. I'm going to remove it. Another thing we can do that I'll point out is in the paperless parts viewer, I can do the same thing where I could click this search bar. So that would be a click to bring it out. I can also just do Command F here. And what we did was we looped in a PDF searching. Basically, we linked the PDF search to the Control F keystrokes. And I can now search this document and find, material. Boom, I've got 2 instances of it. And I just saved myself time from, some OEMs put material on the bottom right. Sometimes it's buried in the notes. These notes are on the top left. I saved myself some manual scroll time with just a quick Control F and it'll take me right to it. Cool. So I am back in my quote. Let's jump up to the overview using that scroll to button. And if I come down, one thing I did want to highlight, actually, sorry, let me jump back to the quote itself. Some new functionality that I know some folks on the line I've talked to about this before, and that is quote supporting files. So want to just bring some attention to this, that as of Tuesday, I believe it was, we released quote level supporting files. So what this is really just a place to put anything that is relatable to every single line item on your quote. It can live in this quote supporting files. The old hack of, put all of your supporting files at the quote level on line item 1. This gets rid of that workaround. And now we can just have all of our quote level documents drag and dropped right into this quote supporting files. So using the left-hand navigation bar, I'm going to jump back into my line item. And I want to go back and review that costing. So I'm going to jump down to, we'll jump to materials. And the next thing I want to show is some new functionality. It was, I think this one might be about a month ago. But basically what we added was the ability to navigate through this table without using my mouse. So I'm going to park my mouse right here in operations. And I'm using my arrow keys right now to get to various cells. And what I want to point out here, so this is arrow keys. So I'm just panning around right now. And say I get to inspection, I can literally type in, maybe I need to override this to a half hour. I'm going to type in 0.5 and hit tab. And that is going to save that cell and then move me over one to the right. So maybe my time here is actually 10 minutes apart. I'm going to tab that over. Boom. I've saved that work all without touching my mouse. I'm going to keep on tabbing through and take a look. Right now, I'm at 108.87 over here for my part quantity and my part quantity cost. And then if I hit tab one more time, I'm going to get to edit. And then I'm going to get to the expand operation. I see people clicking these buttons all the time. And what we can do now is actually tab through them. And I'm going to hit enter. And that's going to bring up that operation. So I'm going to hit enter to open it, escape to close, enter to open, escape to close. Look at my mouse, it's parked, haven't touched it yet. And then if I hit tab one more time, I've got this delete me operation to remind myself to show everybody this. Same deal. I'm going to hit enter here, and then I'm going to hit enter again. And that is going to get rid of 2 mouse clicks to delete that operation. So kind of jumping back to the computer whizzes who are not using their mouse, I can essentially navigate this whole costing area without touching my mouse, which is really cool. Save time, save clicks. So another thing that I want to point out here is we can actually, using that the right click button on my mouse, I can open up each of these line items in its own tab. So say I was working on this quote, I can right click on line item 1, open that in a new tab. Line item 2, open that in a new tab. Line item 3, open that in a new tab. And now I've got my, my quote header. I've got line item 1, I've got line item 2, and I've got line item 3. So I can actually have this whole volume of work up at one time. So say I'm working through this quote and let's see, we'll say I'm actually done with this quote. I want to mark it as complete. Another really underutilized button that I see is updating things in bulk. So what I'm going to do is say I'm actually okay, I'm done with all of these line items. I can click on this button to select every line item on the quote. I'm going to go actions. And I'm going to update workflow status. And I am going to mark all of these to complete and update that workflow status. So traditionally, that would be 3 line item quote. That would be basically a click into the line item, a click to change status, and then a click to select the status. So rather than 12 clicks when I was done with these line items, I did it in, I think, 2. So basically using that status bar to eliminate 10 clicks pretty quickly. So say it is wrapping up. We're at 12:15 right now, and I'm about to get out of here for the day, or somebody came up and grabbed me, and they're going to take me away from this. What I want to show is how we can actually bookmark all of this work in one folder. So I've got my quote 2104 tabs up here. I've got the engineering toolbox. This is a kind of an old school website, but a lot of really good information here. I've got my material pricing coming from Online Metals. I've got my line items, but I'm going to shut down for the day. What I'm going to do is right click in this top right area, and I am going to bookmark all tabs. And I'm going to call that quote 2104 docs and hit save. So basically what that's going to do is make a folder for all of those quote items and all of these things. And then if I right click, I can open all of those tabs all at once. Hit a quick refresh here. Cool. So the other thing I wanted to point out is saving bookmarks that are applicable to your job function in paperless parts. So for instance, where a owner or a CEO might want to start their journey in paperless could be different from where an estimator wants to start their journey. Also could be different from where somebody on the order entry or order facilitation team might want to start their journey. So in Chrome, what I can do is I can actually grab this bar and pull it down and bookmark any page within paperless. So really, if I go, so what I did was I bookmarked the dash so I can quickly navigate to my dash. Maybe for estimators, what's most important for them is to open up paperless parts and end up at their drafts because they're managing their draft number to keep that small. And then another one, this is one that I actually hadn't thought of and I learned yesterday, but we can actually bookmark the create quote page. So as an estimator, if you're opening up paperless parts, clicking on quotes, clicking create quote, if that is what you're doing, the majority of the time you start your journey in paperless for the day, literally just go to that create quote page before we've assigned a quote number, drag it down to the bookmark, and boom, now I'm going to start my journey right here every time I click that button. And then one other quick way to snap back to places that you're interested in is I'm going to actually right click and I'm going to duplicate this tab. And what I want to draw attention to here is the fact that we made our quote links legible a little while ago, but I don't know if everybody's aware of that. So if I look at this URL bar, it actually tells the story of exactly where I am in the platform. So I am on paperlessparts.com/quotes tab /edit/2104. And you're going to see that 2104 aligns with quote 2104 right here. So say I know that I need to jump to quote 2105. Rather than hit quotes 2105 and then like open that quote 2105, I'm just going to backspace that 4 and I'm going to put 5 and hit enter. And I'm going to jump to quote 2105. Same deal. I'm going to name, maybe now I need to get to 6. I'm going to hit 6, hit enter. Boom. I've got some shops that are hardly ever jumping back to that quotes tab because what they're doing is they're actually bookmarking a quote and they know exactly what quote they need. They have like in their mind what quote they want to get to, and they're just changing it on the URL bar, saving time and clicks. Cool. So we're at 10 or 12:20. I'm going to go through one last thing here pretty quickly. So another thing that I don't know if all shops are taking advantage of or they're aware of is the saved filters functionality. So on the quotes tab right here, we've got this button. I think this one's underutilized, show filters. If I click on show filters, that's going to bring up a list of search parameters that I can use to filter out the quotes on the left-hand side. So if I wanted to find all of my quotes, I'm going to use salesperson and choose me and then hit apply filter. And this is now going to create a view of all of my draft quotes that I am the salesperson for. And the next step for this is I'm actually going to save this to the dashboard and call this my draft quotes and save that filter. And maybe I was actually, so I'm going to remove filters. I'm going to do one more. So maybe my business does sheet metal and CNC machining. And I want a way to quickly find all of my CNC machining quotes. Same deal. I'm going to show filters and I can actually do a process filter or even an operation filter. So I'm going to do has process, 5-axis milling, 5-axis CNC milling, CNC turning, and I'm going to apply filters. And now I've got all of the quotes that are in process that have these processes on them. And I'm going to call these not sheet metal. I'm going to call these machining quotes. And I'm going to save that filter. So I've saved that filter. Where do those land? If I jump back to the dashboard and I scroll down, I've got 2 saved filters on my dashboard now. And I'm actually going to click on this first one and boom, this is all of the quotes that are relevant to me. So if you're working in a bigger organization and your draft box is 45 quotes large, doing a visual search of this area can be time consuming, and there's a better way to do it. So that's where enter those saved quote filters, jump into Paperless Parts, click on all of your draft quotes. Or I'm an owner and I want to know what all of my outstanding quotes are, make an outstanding quote filter, boom, you can jump there in 2 clicks. Cool. So that pretty much covers the tips and tricks I wanted to run through today. Some browser tricks, some paperless tricks, and some new buttons. I'd like to open it up for any questions. Allie, I don't know if we have any on the line currently.
We do have one in the Q&A box. Can you see that, Alex?
Oh, yep. All right. Let's see. We've got Dustin Drab. What's going on, Dustin? Saving filters. So the question is, can we filter by status or on hold? I know we can in the dashboard, but not on the quotes page. Dustin, I'm not 100% on that one. I'm pretty sure that you're right that you can do it on, I know we can do it on that dashboard. I don't know if we can do that on this quotes page, but definitely a good suggestion that I can funnel back to our product team. Cool. Any other questions on the line related to anything I covered, or does anybody have a tip or a trick that they're using today that they think could be helpful? All right. Oh, what browser was
ask another question? Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right. You know what? I should have mentioned that. So what browser is this? This is Google Chrome. That is my preferred browser. And honestly, I think Paperless is actually optimized to use Chrome. I've ran into some drag and drop from email issues with browsers like Internet Explorer, and basically switching over to Chrome has alleviated all of those concerns. So I would say 2 general tips for Paperless in general. First one is whenever you're quoting, I always recommend having the part viewer on the left-hand side and then your quote on the right-hand side, or vice versa, but basically having 2 screens. And then also, I always recommend use Chrome with Paperless Parts. And that's what I do all my personal browsing for. Yeah, so Dustin on the horn is saying, yeah, he had some issues with Firefox and he's trying out Edge now. Dustin, let us know how that goes with Edge as well. Cool. And then we've got another question about, is there a way to make the website more user-friendly on an iPad or iPhone? No, that's a great question, Rob. I find that iPhone can be a little challenging, but when I open it up on an iPad, it's a much easier just because you have a little bit more real estate to work with. That is one that I will grab as product feedback for our product team as well. Cool. Anything else on the line? Oh, you know what? I've got one more that here, we'll get a little bonus one. One time I was working with a guy and he was frustrated beyond belief that he's like, oh, how do I get 2 part viewer tabs to open? How do I get 2 part viewer tabs to open? So if I hit Control and click on this viewer on that thumbnail, that's going to open up a more standard looking web tab with that part. And if I right click on this and duplicate it, now I've got 2 unique part viewer tabs. That's just one I had thought of where, really straightforward, just duplicate that tab. And now I can have not only every line item open, but also every part opened in one volume of work in Chrome. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you everybody for jumping on the horn today. My email is alex.renner@paperlessparts.com. feel free to send me any questions you have offline, or if you have any anything that I didn't cover today that's helping you whiz around the platform, let me know, because I'd love to share that with our other users out there. So awesome.
Alex, I think we have 2 questions in the chat. Are you able to see those?
Oh, they were last minute. All right. Let's see. Renee says, okay. Renee, so Renee has a question about if you accidentally type in the wrong part number, how can I change it? Yeah, so that is, let me share my screen again. So Renee, let me know if this answers it. So say I was working on part number does not necessarily freeze a quote. So if I was typing out this part number and I did typo, I can go through and maybe I caught at the end of the quote that this was a typo. I can always change this part number at any point in the quoting process. So now I can put the correct part number here now. And that should be available to you at any point until you finalize the quote and press send. Once you send a quote, that is when we lock the quote itself. Let me check out the chat here. We got, so Renee, let me know if that answered your question. Boris, yes, recording will absolutely be available. And I did put together a quick cheat sheet with some documentation, some keystrokes, and also some links back to some of the release notes that we have on those new features. It looks like Alex Benz. Alex, what's going on, man? Long time no see. Alex also had a second for the mobile inquiry, so we'll make sure we get your feedback pushed in. And let's see. Josh says, will there be any additional functionality in the future for the bomb tree on the left? Yes, the answer to that question is definitely a yes. For any longtime paperless users, you've probably seen a ton of change over here on this left-hand side. When I first started about 1.5 years ago, I would say we probably only had half of the capabilities that we have over here. Just things even as simple as converting a subassembly to a manufactured component with hardware. There is definitely future improvements that are in sight for assembly BOM editing. I actually met with a member of the product team last week talking through some of the potential stuff that they're looking at there. If you have anything particular, please feel free to launch that either to me or to support, or through the platform. You can get to support with that question mark, and you can always fire in a product feedback request through that beacon as well to get whatever your proposed improvements would be. We got 2 new messages. Oh, okay. So Renee, sorry about that. When it's complete, yeah. So I might want to do a little bit of testing on this, but it is my understanding that once we finalize a quote, we basically lock all of the fields in that part in that quote, because it's now outstanding and it's been sent out to the public. If you had to update a part number after a quote was sent, what I always recommend doing is I'm going to mark this as sent. And now I'm going to go to outstanding. I've got 2104 is outstanding. For me, if I have to change a part number, that's really a revision. And what I would do is hit actions, create revision. And revisions are a great place to utilize manufacturing notes. So maybe this was my part, right, that I had the wrong part number on. I would do a revision, and then in manufacturer's notes, put note, no changes to pricing, administrative error on part number, revision is for clarification, something like that. And then just mark this as sent as well. and or facility, you can finalize this one, send it out to the customer. That's going to be your path of least resistance to change that part number when a quote is outstanding. Chris. All right, Chris, what's going on? So the question is, will we be able to update a step file as the revision rolls? For example, step file rev1 in quote was primary. New rev comes out and we now want that to be primary. It won't let us update that at this time. So that's getting into, that's an interesting area of the platform with how we deal with revisions and modifying parts that exist in multiple places across the platform. Chris, I'm assuming that what you're seeing is when you jump to switching a primary file. If I had another file here, it's not allowing you to switch the primary. The reason that action is going to be blocked if that item exists in multiple places across the platform. And the way I explain that is basically how does Paperless know if you want to change the primary file on this instance of the part in 2104-1 and in all of these other instances of the part that could exist scattered throughout the platform. So what we do is we lock the action at that time. The way to handle that, and we're generally pretty good about giving error messages. So for instance, we've grayed out this one right here because this part is referenced by multiple quote items. So when we actually generally try to say, what do you do to get around this? And the answer to that is replace the referenced part with a new version. The way I do that is I'm going to click on these three dots and I'm going to replace the referenced part with the new version. And that's going to unlock all of those abilities to modify supporting in primary files. I can change the BOM now on this version of the part. And Chris, feel free to reach out. It won't let that happen then as well. All right, Chris, let's do a quick sidebar. I'm happy to jump on a quick 10-minute call with you and we can work through what specifically your scenario is. Happy to do that with you. Alex B, good call out. Yeah, part number, rev, ITAR are editable in the part viewer. Yep, that is functionality that's there. And Renee said, thank you, that answered my question. Awesome. Cool. So I've got a couple of product feedback requests, and then Chris, happy to jump on the horn with you here later this afternoon or tomorrow at some point to walk through what exactly it is you're trying to do. They're kind of hard to judge without seeing. Cool. Going once, going twice. All right. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. I appreciate the questions. Tells me that people are actually paying attention and hopefully getting some valuable stuff out of this. So I will catch up with everybody at some point in the future. Thanks for joining. Bye.